Hello everybody, Dave England here. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong place. 2 nights ago, I usually have a better camera than this, and about a half an hour before I went live, I said, well, gotta grab the cord, plug it in. Couldn't find it. Right up to 3 minutes before I went live, I still couldn't find it. I was freaking out. I'll just be honest with you. I was freaking out. Almost had a heart attack. So I'm using a Logitech camera for the last 2 days till I go pick up one. I've just been so busy, but I got to get one. Because this Friday is my 75th episode. I am wicked psyched about that. 75. For a creative person to be as consistent as that is a huge feat. Trust me. I'm really good at the art of the start. And I get into the meat of things. I get into the middle of the project. But just wrapping up a project, I'm just already on to the next one. And the next one, the next one. So this is good. This is really good for me. And tonight, I am pouring myself the last of a 4-pack of Proclamation Ale. I should get paid for this, huh? Proclamation Ale. It is good. If you're just tuning in, this is Wine with Dave. Got a lot of followers, but I'm actually at 499 followers. I would love for you to be the 500th. That'd be really awesome. Go ahead and like my page if you haven't. Oh, look, it's Wine O'Clock, and it's going to be Wine O'Clock for the next 60 minutes. My guest tonight, I'm really excited about having him on. Really cool guy and very humble. And he's got a really amazing Instagram success story. Got a great business. Amazing painting team, ZK Painting. So I'll bring him on in a little bit. But yeah, this is Wine with Dave, and this is how we do it. We just wing things. I'm going to have my first sip of the night. But check that out, huh? Silver. I kind of like this camera. It's got the fisheye thing going on. Wide angle. Gotta love wide angle. The microphone looks massive. Type in where you're from. Go down there and just type in what town you're in, because I'd like to know. Give you some shout outs. And you show up on the screen just like that. Wine with Dave, we are live. So you could just put that in there. Any questions you have, if you've got a business and you're considering being on Instagram, this episode is absolutely for you. And I know I spoke to about 25 members of Reba this morning on that 5-hour presentation we gave. It was massively long. The marketing camp revisited 2020. And I invited a lot of you out. So if you're watching right now, welcome, Reba people, Rhode Island Builders Association. This is the show I was telling you about, so I'm glad you came on. All right, well, let me go to the next segment here because this is awesome. I love this. Did you know? Did you know is pretty funky. You always learn something on Did You Know. Did you know you are always taller in the morning? You're always taller in the morning. It's a good time to try out for the basketball team. Just saying. Red is the first color a baby sees. It's about 4 months before they kind of recognize color. Actually, that is the color that human beings see the furthest in the distance. So if you have a business that's on a main road and red happens to be your color scheme, go for it. That will pop out more because as colors go off in the distance, they get hazy. That's a freebie. I just threw that in there. That is true, but Did you know that the color pink can curb anger? And this is true because there was a very violent adult correctional facility. And I don't know where it was, but they painted everything. Actually, this is kind of cool for ZK to hear this. Sprayed the entire interior of the jail. The prison pink, like Pepto-Bismol pink, and violent crimes went down like 80%. It was crazy. So, and actually, by the way, that's why the term, hey, I got the pink slip, I got fired, It was made pink because it's hard to get angry. It's too silly. It doesn't have weight like a black, Anyway, about 1 in every 38 people living in the United States resides in New York City. That's cool. There is literally a gold digger in New York City. There's a guy that he mines the sidewalk cracks for gold. He makes about $600 a week. That's what he does. He knows where things get dropped. On November 28th, 2012, a day to remember for New York City, because not a single murder, shooting, stabbing, or other incident of violent crime in the city was reported for the entire day. That was the first time that has ever happened, and I think it's the last time it's ever happened. Seagulls will gather in groups on the ground and stomp their feet, imitating rainfall, to make worms come to the surface. They know how to find their prospects. Facebook is now one of the leading causes of divorce in the U.S. I don't know if you knew that. That was kind of cool. Well, sad, but true. Did you know you can tell the temperature by counting a cricket's chirp? So what you do is you get your watch out, or stopwatch, and you see how many chirps it chirps in 11 seconds and add 40 to that, and that's what the temperature is. They chirp faster when it's hotter. The original name for Twitter was TWTTR, Twitter with no vowels. Thought that was funky. I must have heard that years ago, completely forgot. According to researchers, it's possible to identify a legitimate psychopath based on tweets. It was found that psychopaths are more likely to use filler words like are more likely to use cause and effect words like because, and are less likely to make mention of religion or family. So watch what you tweet. Someone might be looking at you. 95 million photos are uploaded to Instagram each day. Did you know that? And when Facebook fans post their questions to a business Facebook page, only 30% of them receive answers. That's really bad. That's just pathetic. Why have a page if you're not going to connect to people, right? Got to do that. And lastly, mild autumn weather often means bigger spiders in your home. And that's the end. Mud packs are mixtures of therapeutic clays. When applied to the skin, increases circulation, ease muscle tension. It releases toxin and boosts immunity. I did not know that. They work well on oily skin types. While commonly used as facial, mud packs can treat the entire skin's surface. If anyone out there is listening, I think I lost every single one of the people. Oh no, I got there. Hey, type in where you're from. I'd like to know, just to see if you can hear me, if you can see me. Make sure I got my mic on. Yeah, everything's on. All right. It's National Mud Day, Mud Pack Day. Take that down. What else is it? It's this guy. Do you guys remember this guy? James Dean. In 1955, today, September 30th, James Dean entered his Porsche 550 Spyder in the upcoming Salinas Road Race. The event was scheduled for October 1st, 1955. Accompanying the actor on his way to the track on September 30th tonight was stunt coordinator Bill Hickman and other friends who had encouraged Dean to drive the car from Los Angeles to Salinas to break it in, accompanied Dean in the Porsche. As the group traveled to the event on Route 466 at approximately 5:45 p.m., a 1950 Ford Tudor was passing through an intersection while turning left. Ahead of the oncoming Porsche, Dean, unable to stop in time, slammed into the passenger's side of the Ford. A woman with nursing experience attended Dean and detected a weak pulse, but unfortunately, James Dean passed away at 6:20 evening. He was a rising star, and actually the only actor to get 2 posthumous awards, Oscars, for his films. I don't remember the films. I'm sorry, I can't remember that. Who do we have? Matt Perry is on tonight. Helps me keep my boyish looks. Yeah, Put the mud packs on. Jimmy. What else happened? Guess what happened? This happened, 1954, the USS Nautilus. Matt, Doc should know this. The Nautilus was constructed under the direction of U.S. Navy Captain Hyman Rickover, a brilliant Russian-born engineer who joined the U.S. atomic program in 1946. This is kind of big. I'm going to reduce that. Slide that up. 1947, he was put in charge of the Navy's nuclear propulsion program and began work on an atomic submarine regarded as a fanatic by his detractors. Rickover succeeded in developing and delivering the world's first nuclear submarine years ahead of schedule. In 1952, the Nautilus keel was laid by President Harry S. Truman, and on January 21st, 1954, First Lady Mamie Eisenhower broke a bottle of champagne across its bow as it was launched into the Thames River at Groton, Connecticut. Navy World. Commissioned on September 30th, 1954. Tonight, the anniversary. It first ran under nuclear power on the morning of January 17th, 1955. That's cool. Did you know that, Matt? I bet you did, huh? Still has an active duty crew. That's cool. The reactor is still active. Wow. I thought they did something in 1980. Didn't they decommission it in 1980 or just, I don't know. Anyway, if you're here, go ahead and just type where you're from. Love to know where you are. I'll give you a little shout out. Something else happened tonight. Kind of a hero, kind of not a hero, if you're a Red Sox fan. This guy, 1934, Babe Ruth's final game as a Yankee. George Herman Ruth was aging and starting to perform like a mere mortal. Coming into the first game, he was hitting .290. His career average was .342. Nevertheless, he was still their third hitter and was sitting on 21 home runs for the year and .707 for his career. Babe Ruth and the Yankees came to town in September of '34 for one last hurrah. They were to play the Senators in a doubleheader on Saturday, September 29th, followed by a Sunday afternoon game. Already having lost the American League pennant to the Detroit Tigers, the Yankees would close out the 1934 season at Griffith Stadium. And this was an article that was written that night but showed up in the newspaper the next day. And it read, and I quote, "The crowd at Griffith Stadium will rise as one and cheer him. It will be curtains for the mighty man, who has made his name synonymous with the very game he so helped to build into the massive business it is today." I raise a glass for Babe Ruth. My brother Steve met his granddaughter. She wrote a book, and he met her. Useless trivia, in case I ask you someday, you'll know. Hey, it's 9:14. I'm going to bring on a guest tonight. Decommissioned ship. Matt is leaving comment. Yeah. Oh, traded from Boston. Yep. Not the Nautilus. We're on another subject, right? It's traded him. That was a sad day. I wasn't alive. But tomorrow night, my guest is singer-songwriter Ethan Gold from San Francisco. This guy's big. I mean, he's got some amazing music. If you're into singer-songwriter, kind of indie pop, jangly, shoegaze pop, you got to check this guy out. He's going to be on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, Thursday night. Friday night, 75th episode, big party. Big party. Maybe I'll get some of this Proclamation Ale. Who knows? Maybe I'll finally drink wine. I don't think I've been drinking wine this entire week. I've been trying some of these other things. But Friday night, my guest is Gary Parent. He's known as the man who studies eyes. So if you take a photo of your eye, take your glasses off, take a photo of your eye, and text it to him, he can look at the iris, the rings, the cornea, the whole... He knows everything. He knows the eye. I'm just faking it. He'll look at it and say, yeah, I think you have liver problems. You need to cut back on whatever. So he's kind of like the eye whisperer, if that's a thing. But really fascinated. The guy's all about health. Really fascinated. I am never bored listening to him. Gary Parent is Friday night on my 75th anniversary. But tonight, you're in for a treat. My guest is Zach Kenney, owner of ZK Painting. You got to see the stuff they do. It's freaking amazing looking, and his story is even better. Check it out. Hey, Zach, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good, good. I just realized that my Wi-Fi, I was connected to my neighbor's Wi-Fi. How, I don't even know. That's why I was losing. All right, I'm back on mine. Go figure. Technology, right?
Tremendous.
So you weren't always into technology, right? And I want to hear this whole story. I heard you talk about it the other day, but I want everyone to see this and hear the story. But were you always like a geek, getting into the latest stuff, or no?
No way. No way. I'm a old man at heart, and I was not into social media at all. I was the curmudgeon who made fun of my wife. I think she was probably my girlfriend at the time, when she would like have an Instagram account and she would post things, and I just wanted nothing to do with it, which is pretty ironic.
You ran away from that. So before we get into the Instagram and that whole success, tell me about prior to getting into the success, because we'll save that question for just a little bit. When did you start ZK? Is that what you were always doing your whole life, pretty much?
So I started painting as like 14, 15-year-old kid, some money and stuff. And I painted throughout college. And then I moved home from Philadelphia to be with my family about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like maybe 9 years ago, and I picked up a brush. I had skills, and I knew a friend's dad who needed a painter to paint a flip house he was doing, and he paid me $15 an hour, and I started painting that house for him. And then that kind of led to another project that had a little Ford Taurus and a little giant ladder, a lot of passion for the craft, a decent amount of skills, I guess, and I've made a lot of mistakes. I've tried a lot of things and made a lot of mistakes on my path to where I am today. But it kind of all started with just loving the instant gratification of painting and being sort of a science nerd. I do like science. I had a science background, so I took a more systematic approach to understanding the codings and why I was doing what I was doing, and it's been a long journey to get here.
That's good. So you're kind of failing forward, learning as you go, but growing and growing and growing. So how did you get started on Instagram?
My wife actually created the account, which is hilarious because I use Instagram way more than she does today. But she started the account, and if you go back and look at my first couple posts, I've never gone back to edit them. So the pictures are like sideways, cockeyed, and there's no captions or hashtags, and the photos aren't edited, and you had to start someplace. So I started posting, and little by little just posting more. And it was 4 years ago. It's hard to remember exactly, but it was sort of like the the likes and the followers became like a game, and at some point I decided I wanted to play that game
Mm-hmm.
and try to get more of both. And so I just started working like that. Didn't take it real seriously. Then a friend of mine introduced me to Gary Vee and sort of all that stuff. I read his books eventually, but and then I had a video go viral that on another page, someone had taken one of my videos and posted on a Facebook page, and it had like 5 million views. And a friend of mine had seen it and sent it to me and was like, "Look, someone did this." And I was like, "No way!" Like that video, it was a good video. I didn't really realize at the time, but it's very satisfying. So I reposted that, and then a bunch of Instagram satisfying video pages reposted it, and it got millions and millions of more views. And it sort of just like started me down the path of like, oh, like I should take this seriously and see what I can do here.
Mm. So when you started on Instagram, you just kind of jumped in, just knew that it was really just a repository for photos. That's all you were thinking it was?
Yeah.
And then maybe somehow someone would find it. Tell me about the time you discovered hashtags. That must have been like mind blowing for you, huh? How to tagging photos?
That was, yeah. I mean that just sort of, I guess it just sort of happened. I can't really recall how that happened, and but it just became a thing that you did, and you know, I never spent a ton of time on it. I mean, I would always hashtag all of my stuff with the maximum number of hashtags, but it was, I don't know. I don't get super into hashtags, I guess, anymore. It's just like, it's a thing I do every time. You make a post, you put some hashtags in it, and, see what happens.
Yeah, see where it goes, see what they're looking. When did you start to take Instagram serious? Was it soon into you just jumping in, or did it take a while?
It was probably a year. I could look back and go from the time I did my first post to the time that video went viral. That I just was like, I just realized like, wow, that thing I made like midday, like we were spraying a fence on a project we were doing, and before I did a section of it, I said, hold on a second. I handed my camera to one of my employees and I said, here, take a video of me doing this. And it was what I was doing anyway. I just put a camera on it, which is what Gary Vee always talks about: document, don't create. I was just documenting what I was doing that day, and it turned out the way that it worked. People like to watch it, and so it just sort of connected those dots, and I was like, oh, I could probably do more of this. And so I just started taking it a little more seriously, and it just sort of went from there.
Yeah. So what has it done for your company? Kind of give us the whole story. In other words, if you could go back before you answer that, if you can go back in time, what would you have done better with Instagram?
I would have just started earlier. That's why we started TikTok when we did. Like, I just would have started earlier. It is so much harder to grow a following on Instagram today if you start today than if you started 2 years ago, and then if you started 2 years before that, because the threshold that you have to in order to get someone to follow you today on Instagram is so much higher, because it's a much more saturated market than in the early days. People would give you a follow because they weren't following many people, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, here's somebody that kind of does something I'm into.
Yeah.
And it was like people were free with their follows. That's the way it is on TikTok right now, right? Like, people are just like we got 480,000 followers on TikTok in like 2 months, or I don't know, 3 months, and it's just like where because it's not a saturated market. So honestly, I think the number one thing is I wish I just started earlier.
Yeah. All right. So how has it changed your business? Here's the big meat of the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed. It has been the number one driver of the success of my business. I can't say of the rapid growth that we've experienced. I think I could attribute it. I think we've shortcut the path that it would have taken me to get to where I am today.
Yep.
Social media got us there way faster. So when I started on Instagram 4 years ago, it was me and one or two other people. I was paying them under the table. I was barely getting by. I had a passion for what I was doing, but I sure didn't have a company, and I sure was not doing much in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 100 to 150,000 a year in revenue, and not profitable at all. I think I was probably still like living at home by the time when that was first starting. And I mean, this year so over the last year, so year 3 was really like the really like when the tipping point happened, and we tripled our revenue last year, a little over triple. We were
Wow.
just right around the 300,000 mark, a little under, and we were just under the 900,000 mark last year. Um, but more than like revenue is one thing, but it's the profitable. It's a level of clientele. Like every job, I always say that every project is like a better project, a better client than the one before, and it's been this like we've just been like going up the rungs of just doing basic residential repaints for bidding like as a commodity against 4 other companies, and doing whatever it took to get that job, and people just grinding us down on price and not respecting what we did, and to the point now where like people call and they want ZK painting, they want us and what we stand for, and they already know us most of the time. I don't have to do that sales of like, here's why we're special. And I got a call today off of Google, and it was just like, I mean, those don't work out. I'm like, look, man, like we're not gonna be price competitive. I can't start for 2 months. And he was just, I very quickly try to get people off the phone like that. But
Mm-hmm.
when people call me from social media, they're great projects. They're profitable projects. Um, People take us seriously. We're just treated a little bit differently. And then so that's really been huge. And then my workforce, like my team of people I have in my company right now, are phenomenal. I mean, in my business, it's hard to find good people, and we have 8 really good human beings
Mm-hmm.
that paint, and all but one of them came from Instagram.
Wow. So they were, and I want to get into that too later. Were these guys on your team kind of like homegrown, like the farm team, and then you trained them along the way, or were these guys already doing really well and then you brought them on? Because I know they're hard
It's
to
a
find.
hybrid. Yeah, it's a hybrid. Um, we definitely do like not your average painting, I would say. I mean, we do some like residential repaint stuff in under $1 million homes. We like that is something that we definitely do. We do a lot of like multi-million dollar homes and super high end stuff as well. But the team, like I would say half the people came as apprentices. So we have 4 lead painters and 4 apprentices right now. So every lead has an apprentice that works with them. So all the apprentices came
Wow.
in pretty green, which is what we like. We like to teach them from the ground up. And the skilled painters all came in with skills, but it's they have to be brought up to our processes. Like a lot of what we do is like we employ a decent amount of automotive paint technique.
Mm-hmm.
We use a fair amount of tools and equipment that are not sold at Sherwin-Williams. Like so it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was watching that. Do you have a paint booth? Place where you bring some
Yes,
of the furniture in, or do you kind of do it on site?
we have a state-of-the-art automotive paint booth that
Wow.
has a big makeup air unit, and we can bake our finishes on. It's it's a big investment, but it's a pretty phenomenal. It allows us to do a lot. So we can do this. Essentially, we have quite often we are doing the same thing on site as we do in the shop. So we will set up spray booths like in people's homes, like kitchen. We'll turn a kitchen into a spray booth, and we'll spray a kitchen, cabinets and stuff, with the exact same equipment and product that we would spray the doors in the shop. So my guys are very skilled at masking and protecting we have equipment for moving air and controlling air and filtering air.
Mm-hmm.
So we essentially do that on site, and we've done that for a long time. But the booth now allows us to have this amazing ability to take many things off of site. Anything that can come off, doors, cabinet drawers, stuff like that, we'll take off site. And so 2 people will be working on that stuff in my shop while 2 other people are in your kitchen working. So it cuts the project timeline down in half.
Yeah.
Because 4 people wouldn't be able to work efficiently in a kitchen. So yeah, the spray booth is a huge competitive advantage, and has been amazing, and we're just scratching the surface of what it can do.
Yeah, and guys aren't tripping over each other, so there's less mistakes, and you're getting the job done faster and more accurate. That's a brilliant idea. I like that. How many jobs do you have going on at one time? Do you have many teams going out, or you try to stick with like one job and get it done?
We typically have 3 projects going on in the field at any one time. Sometimes it's 2,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's 4, but we try to keep it to 2-man teams, 2-person teams, and sometimes on bigger projects we'll have 4 people on the team. Like 2-person teams will work and have sort of different scopes of work that they'll work on to be as efficient as possible. I've learned that over the years, that just like throwing 6 people on a project is not necessarily, it's not very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, a 2-person team working on this aspect of the project and owning it from start to finish, and a 2-man team working on this other aspect and owning it if it's a larger project. But quite often we will divide them up. Like right now we have 3 2-person teams out on site, and then we have 2 people in the shop working on stuff for things that are going to go back to those sites.
Wow. Nice. That's really impressive. Are you kind of blown away at the meteoric growth of your company, or do you feel like it's just been this steady climb anyway?
No, it's surreal. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's totally surreal. I'm so grateful for everything, but I never in a million years thought I'd be here this fast. Like I definitely wanted to get to something like this, but the speed that we've been able to do it, like really the last 2 years have just like been, a wild ride.
That's amazing. Well, tell me about your first job that you got from Instagram. Want to know about that.
Yeah, that was.
And how did you feel? That must have been like yeah, someone found us.
So it's really cool that I got a job from Instagram, but it was way cooler that it was like one of like the holy grail type of projects in my business that like many people who do what I do at the level of finish I do. We work with Fine Paints of Europe. We're a master certified painter through this very high end. It's a very high quality paint from Holland, and so they're known for this high gloss oil based paint that they sell. And the highest end, most expensive type of paint job you can essentially do is a high gloss room, like ceilings, walls, and trim, all high gloss, mirror finish, car paint style.
Wow.
Same color. See, like you look up and there you are in the ceiling. You look in the wall, there you are in the wall. There's not a lot. Like I mean, there's probably in New England. There's probably, 30 or 40 gloss rooms in New England. I would say there's not more than 100 gloss rooms in New England right now.
Wow.
Because they're very expensive and very specialized. So I became a certified painter from Fine Paints, and I had always wanted to do a gloss room. But they're $20,000 to $40,000 to paint a room. That's not everyone's doing that, and not very many people can actually execute, and you have to have a pretty good reputation to be able to get someone to even want to think about paying you $20,000 to $40,000 to paint a room. So it's really cool because I got the first job that I got through Instagram was actually a high gloss wine room for a builder, an awesome builder, amazing. He has a very large social media following. His company has skyrocketed. He has even more of a exponential growth curve than I do. He started on Instagram like 4 years earlier. They have I think they're probably at 130,000 followers now. His team is just growing, and his reputation, and he's awesome. And so I picked things sitting around off my, when I started Instagram, I didn't have a booming company, and I was trying to transition to only using fine paints of Europe, which, when you tell everyone that you're only using paint that's $150, $200 a gallon, and you're only doing high quality work, I didn't have a lot of that in my portfolio. So pretty much everyone I was doing work for, I wasn't going to do work for anymore. So it was a very, very lean winter, that winter when we made that transition. But I just started doing the marketing and getting out and telling people and the builders and designers that I knew I was at least in their head for that 1 in 10 out of their 10 projects. That was a high-end fine finish type of project.
Yeah.
So I would sit around and I was building my social media. I was making good posts. I was making good videos that really showed what we were doing. And I started sending messages, direct messages is what they call it on Instagram. So I started sending texts around the Boston, Rhode Island area, dozens and dozens and dozens of them, and a lot of times multiple times before anyone would ever get back to me. Many people still never gotten back to me, but I sent NS Builders a DM. He took me seriously because he saw my profile, my feed, and saw that I was like clearly passionate and clearly was doing a very high level of work.
Mm-hmm.
And so he agreed to meet me, and we met at a Starbucks in Boston, and I brought sample boards, and I kind of blew his mind with the level of quality and product that we had to offer. And very shortly after that, I think it might even been at the time, or very shortly after, within a couple weeks, he had sent me plans for this room they had been talking about, and they weren't sure what they were going to do with it. And we ended up doing a high gloss, like navy high gloss ceilings, walls, and trim. So it was a dream come true. So once that happened, obviously, I doubled down on what I was doing with social media. And then he posted about that project, and he had a large following, and he tagged, like he mentioned, like ZK Painting did this work. So from that, we've got a lot of work as well. Like the network effect of social media is so strong. So we had a designer reached out like a week after the first post, and we've done a lot of work with her now, and then that led to another one, and now I'm in this world where pretty much everyone, builders, designers, architects, like everyone I work with has a fairly strong social media presence. Like we all get it. We're all like referring back and forth and tagging and mentioning and this whole ecosystem of Instagram and all these people who get Instagram and get the power of it. So now when I talk to somebody, the first thing I do, I haven't looked at a website and I can't tell you how long. Like it is, what's your Instagram? And that's what the website used to be 10 years ago. To me, Instagram is today.
Yeah.
And I just that's my world. It's crazy.
Right. So you're doing like some Instagram TV, you're doing video, long form video, doing short video, and just posts, and some drone footage. You're kind of doing the mix up. You don't have really a theme, but you're just getting all the work behind the scenes.
I'm trying to do a lot of what Gary Vee says. Like I'm trying to document, not create. Like I'm trying to just document. My company, we are awesome. Like we are a very high quality. We add a lot of value to the market. I would love to be able to afford to have a camera crew do a documentary on us 24/7. Like if a client could just watch a day in the life of what it's like to have us do your project for you, that's really good for our company because we're the real deal. And that's why I think social media is awesome for companies that are the real deal. All you have to do is just put a camera on what you're already doing. Like it's not rocket science.
Right.
I thought, you don't have to put on a big show and, it's just, here's what we did today. And here's a detailed description of why. And, so we do a lot of, we try to, and this is more Gary Vee stuff, I can come up with it, but like educating and entertaining. Like every post needs to educate or entertain.
Yeah.
And if it could do both, that's the holy grail, right? But I see way too many social media feeds that have just like these filler, nothing, not captivating your attention, just like we posted to say we posted today. And
Check the
if you look
box.
at a
Yeah,
feed,
check the box.
yeah, we checked the box. Oh, all right, we got a post out. The picture doesn't captivate anyone's attention. It's nice, and it's like, but it's like came from like a Canva pre-loaded
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thing, and I've seen 40 like it, and it's just some words that sound good, and then there's like a sentence caption, and it's like, well, what was that post? Like, what did that serve? Right. So I try to make every one of my posts very clearly speak to either most of them are to my ideal client now at this point. When we grew our following, it was very different. But today I'm trying to make my posts speak to my ideal client. So like we do a lot of high gloss front doors, and the average price for our high gloss front door is $3,500 to $5,000 to paint your front door. That's a lot of money. And people, when I sell, if it's $5,000 to paint your front door, you're like, that you're just taking $4,000, putting in your pocket, and then you're painting my door. This is a ripoff. If you look at my social media, you can follow the entire life of a front door being painted, and you'll see how many hours and how many steps and how much goes into that door.
Mm-hmm.
And now it makes it a lot easier to understand where that price comes from. So I do a lot of that, like, here's why we are doing what we're doing, and here's the total picture that goes behind the scenes. Most of my stuff is not final photos.
Mm-hmm.
But some of it is, and some of it's final photos, and then some of it is just satisfying videos. It's sort of a video that is just like, bright red paint being sprayed onto a white substrate.
Right,
That's
right,
satisfying.
right. Scraping a roller brush into a can. Yeah.
Peeling tape and watching that clean line that comes after you peel it. And
yeah.
so there's some of that stuff, but even within that, like, I'm going to write a detailed description again. Like I try to write paragraphs with very detailed, like, to demonstrate that I know what I'm doing, and that I'm not just like a guy who like just paint stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a professional painter, and our company is a professional painting company, and we're going to provide a very high quality product. So all I'm trying to do with my posting is like document that in as clear and concise a manner as possible, and then you can start to figure out what's generally, you can kind of figure out what stuff works and what stuff doesn't.
Yeah.
Oftentimes Instagram is buying lottery tickets, and the more lottery tickets you buy, you might hit one. Like, I have a number of videos that have over 50,000 views and over 100,000 views, and one that has 1 million, and a couple that have a couple 100,000 views. And some of those I could have told you, like, yeah, that one's going to do really well. But a couple of them, no, I couldn't have predicted that was going to do. And then there's some videos I'm like, this is going to crush. And then it's like 8,000 views. And I'm like, it's hard to really predict.
Yeah.
I try to have a very clear idea of what my company, what makes us special, and then just like beat the drum of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we are high quality, we are passionate people about what we do, and like we are executing on a high level, and then we just beat the drum of that all the time. And I don't ever, hopefully none of my posts ever contradict any of that. They all need to speak to the brand and what we stand for.
Yeah, I love that you're a Gary V devotee, disciple, and you just document and deliver. Just get it out there. And I really do like that it's not all finished work. I mean, people want to see that's the whole thing with the entertainment aspect. What do you call it? Edutainment? I guess it's educates and it's entertaining as well. Your post is really awesome. It's beautiful, but we're seeing the process. As messy as some of the photos might be, it's a bunch of guys, but they're spraying something beautiful. It's like, wow, that's how they do that. That's amazing. That's amazing. Reality TV show on the horizon, or you just want to be able to get a film crew in there?
I mean, I would love to have a television show. There's no question that would be good for the brand.
Yeah.
I started a live show similar to what we're doing here. I did 38 episodes, and then the Paint Contractors Association has picked it up and is going to be helping us produce it at a higher level. I'd love to have a This Old House style of show at some point. But it's funny because going back to what you said earlier, I it's the process that's so awesome. And so I'll talk to you name it, a real estate agent. They kind of get it, but a mortgage broker or a lawyer or like you name the profession, like I could tell you, I could come up with 100 different types of posts that would engage the audience and would captivate people's attention and would get me to follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People are like, "Oh, I'm a lawyer. That's really boring. No one's gonna want to see. I can't make satisfying videos of that." It's like, that's true. Maybe you won't have 100,000 followers, but you could conceive of a feed that educates and entertains still.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had you as a lawyer today, I could follow you. And then if I have a friend who needs a lawyer, and you have done a good job of passionately documenting what you do every day with case studies and horror stories and updates on the law, and there's so many ways that you could document your law practice on social media. Well, now if hey, I love my lawyer, let me tell my friend about my lawyer. I used to send a business card. Who's good? Like, if you get lucky, maybe they call, but then there's no context to it, and you're just another phone number. But if I send a post from that lawyer to my friend and they get to go back and see the last 80 posts that lawyer has put up, consistently beating the drum of they know what they're talking about. They're passionate about law. Here's their face every day on the screen talking about something that happened.
Passion, showing the passion. Yep.
Yeah. Like, guess what? That's going to be the best way I can refer you. And you might have 2,000 followers or 3,000 followers. You just need quality content, and Kevin Kelly says the 1,000 true fans, right? If you can get 1,000 true fans, which is a lot, you don't even need anywhere near that. But if you can get every one of your clients to follow you on social media, and if you have good content, they can now refer you in a way that's so much stronger than if they were to talk about you or give your number to somebody.
Yeah. No, I think what you said is right. I see Instagram as the modern day business card. There's still a need for a business card when you're at a networking event, but then again, that only has so much life, right? It's just going to die in someone's table. They see the name, but it's not enough. But man, Instagram is a living, breathing, colorful, moving, organic business card that and it shows passion, it shows desire, drive. It gets into the person's head. You're like, I like how the guy thinks. I want to hire him. Way more powerful than a business card.
The best part is it's evergreen. If I can get you to follow me, right? If I can cross that threshold, which means I have to have a captivating page, right? My feed and my bio need to be captivating, need to be clear. And in the 5 seconds that you go glance at my page, the first time I tell you about me, or you hear about me, or you see a comment from me and you go look, if I can get your attention in that 5 seconds that you look, and it's good, and it's interesting and intriguing, and I can get you to push follow, now I just have to not mess that up, right? People will only unfollow me if I do something offensive and really mess it up, right? If I take 3 days off and don't post, no one's going to unfollow me. Well, now, when I have good content, I post it, and 1 in 7 of my posts might reach each follower. But now that person who remembered and loved that business card, they can't find the business card again. They forgot it. There's that stat about how many people love their real estate agent and then don't use the same real estate agent 4 years later when they go to sell their house because they can't remember who it was.
Yeah, right.
Right. With social media, it's like, well, I've been watching that real estate agent post. I follow a couple good real estate agents on social media, and they're posting their face, they're talking, they're passionate, they're showing their listings, they're talking about the story behind the listing. And guess what? I would happily follow that because it's entertaining and educational. And now 4 years later, when I go to buy a house, I know them. They're top of mind.
Yeah.
Not only top of mind, I do feel like I know that person because I've heard them talk on stories for days and days and days at a time. I've seen their deep captions that explain why and what they did to sell this house for maximum value, blah, 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 blah. I'm connected.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm
right.
a fan.
You almost want to sell your
so
house.
powerful.
You almost want to sell your house so you can hire them because you trust them so much. It's like, I can't
Yeah,
wait to sell because I know the real estate agent we're going to use.
totally.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, business cards are on the peripheral of, and you forget, and they go in the garbage. It is dated. I'm always looking at what technology is just going to go away 2 years from now, where we look back and go, remember we used to hand out these 2 by 3.5 inch white pieces of card, and we thought it was cool that some of them had radiuses, and you're like, yeah, business cards. Like even Instagram, that'll go away. What's after that? What's a better connection for people? Who knows? But Instagram's doing it, and I think you're really blowing it up there. Glad you came on the show. What type of businesses can benefit from Instagram? Like if someone's listening to this right now, and so this is going to stay in people's feed for a while, but who can really benefit, and who do you think really should be using Instagram? What industry that's really
I don't
lacking?
think there's a business that couldn't. I challenge someone to tell me, because I've heard every single excuse from, because I'm passionate about this, that because I was against it. You know, it's like when you're against something and then you see the light. Now
you've
like
drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So now I'll talk to people. I stopped talking to them now. I'm resigned to it because I'm not trying to convince anybody that doesn't want to be convinced. But I would love someone to send me a DM and tell me why their business wouldn't do well on Instagram, and we'll have a conversation. And maybe you're right, prove me wrong, but I'm pretty certain that there's not, because even the ones that people make the biggest excuses about, those are the ones that are everyone's making that excuse. And so the first mover's advantage, if you're the first, mortgage broker to start making quality content, you're going to get the market, right? You're going to own that market. You're going to be competing. Like if you're a clothing brand, good luck like getting followers on social media. Like every clothing brand gets it, and they're already way ahead of the curve. But if you're in an obscure, if you sell life insurance,
yeah, right.
I can tell you right now, I could make a feed that's so captivating and so entertaining, and I would gladly follow about life insurance. Right? There's a way to do it.
But they have to run everything by corporate, so I know a lot of those guys.
I know,
unfortunately, but you're right. There's a lot of white noise
things
in many industries. If someone just said, "Look, I'm a lawyer. This is boring. Well, how could I ever be on Instagram?" I'm sure you could just say, "Look, cut that thing like a hot knife through butter." Like you just be interesting. But don't you think it takes a certain skill set? Because you got to be entertaining. You got to get it. Not everyone gets that.
I learned the skills. I learned how to edit video. I learned how to edit photos. Honestly, I don't. And you don't have to be super charismatic. You have to be you. Whatever you are. Just be you, right? There's stand-up comics that are super dry. There's stand-up comics that are super animated, right? People still like them. It's the problem I see is people who are trying to put on a show. They're uncomfortable. They don't want to, or they're not the real deal. Maybe they're not awesome at their job.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it's that.
Another option.
Are you the real deal? Because if you are, social media is your friend. If you're kind of faking it and skirting and talking with words that that your clients don't quite know, and just trying to be one step ahead of who your client is, yeah, it's not going to be your friend. But if you are passionate and you're good at what you do, like, it doesn't matter what your voice, because we do it in every other aspect. We do it when we meet people. We're just ourselves, and that's what sells our services.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to networking events, we're ourselves, and that sells our services. Why wouldn't being yourself on social media also sell your services?
Yeah, Zach, that's a great point. If someone says, I feel awkward. Well, then what are you trying to portray? You're not being real. If you're being yourself, are you awkward in real life? No. That's a really good point. That's a really good point for people listening. So I'm going to open this up. If anyone has any questions for Zach, go ahead and just ask away. I got him here for another 5 minutes. What are the keys to good social media presence?
I think it takes 3 seconds to understand how to edit a photo on your iPhone. Like, you do not have to be Aaron Usher and like edit photos at a level. Even even actually social media editing photos is a different style than what a professional photographer would do.
Right.
So learning how to brighten up a photo, take the shadows out, it takes less than 3 seconds to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And no skills. And the same with video. Like, you can use Adobe. I use Adobe Premiere Rush. It's so easy to edit videos,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to capture attention fast. So learning how to just get rid of the like slow lead up into things in this like attention economy, and just be like bang bang bang, here are the 5 key points, or here's learning how to create good content is a muscle, but I think the key is just editing your videos, editing your photos, and having a plan. Like, don't
Mm-hmm.
just post whatever today. Make an overall plan of what am I going to post about, why am I posting about those things, and then start to post and make your actual content. But if you just make content off the cuff, it's not going to have it's not going to feel continuously uniform and like a brand, right? A brand needs to be all the same all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like, one day you're feeling this way and one day you're feeling this way, I can't tell you how many feeds I look at and they just don't seem to they're not uniform. I don't get them. There's no continuity. I'm like, I don't understand what you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you think there has to be like a red line running beneath every post? Has to be a story, a direction?
At least a bigger picture. Like, there needs to be some, I believe it comes down to, what are your competitive advantages as a company? Like, why would I hire you versus somebody else? Write those down. Now, what are the types of ways you could demonstrate those things? Right? Now write those down. Those are going to be your types of posts. Now just start making a bunch of ideas every day that fit those categories. Eventually, you don't have to look at the piece of paper anymore, because it becomes just internalized. Right at this point, it's all internalized for me. I just know what's going to fit my brand and what won't.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, I had to be more, thoughtful about it.
That's cool. So it doesn't take much. It just takes seeing that it's a muscle that has to be exercised. Otherwise, it's always going to be weak, and you'll always stay where you are, right? But if you want to really dominate, you got to flex that muscle. And it's true. I use Snapseed. I downloaded that thing. If I was on a deserted island, I have to have Snapseed, Video Leap, and Pixel Loop, and I'm all set. I'm good. I can document life on an island with a coconut for a meal. But it's easy. I mean, I'm a graphic designer by trade, but that stuff is really easy. The tools are there. They're built into the app. They're just built right in. You're just pulling the shadows out so they brighten up. It just makes a nice clear photo, and everything you're saying is dead on. Video, a little bit more of a little stretch, but certainly easy. And then just taking massive shots and just piecing them all together in transitions. These apps now, they make it so easy for anyone to just do that. Like the video that I just created for you just prior, I did that in 15 minutes. It was really easy. Just grab enough footage and there it is. So
the thing with Instagram though is it's the authenticity that wins, unless you're a big brand. So you don't need fancy transitions between. Just cut. Punch people in the face with content. These transitions and these produced videos, those are not social media videos. Those are videos for TV. Yeah. Great, but if you look at all the best performing videos on Instagram, they are bang, 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 bang. They are crude, if you will, to a video editor. Yeah. And same with the photos. A lot of them, they are crude to a photographer. But that's what captures attention in this attention economy.
So it's a shorter thing of all. So it's a shorter attention span. Quick cuts are the way to go.
Oh my God! You have 3 seconds. I've trained my body now where I'll watch a video and I'll be like, oh wait, there was a second and a half where someone's brain got bored and they swiped.
Yeah, too long. Yeah.
How are you going to keep someone's attention when they're scrolling? Think about it. People scroll.
Yeah.
So how are you going to get someone to stop the scroll and then actually hang out there for a minute?
It's got to be an interesting shot, interesting footage.
Yes, and then it has to have a little cliffhanger built in, sort of, if you can, of people kind of anticipating what's happening next, but you're waiting to get there. But it can't be like these television commercials that have these stories that run through them, and they're all beautiful and they're cut nice and they're shot.
Yeah.
That, dude, people are scrolling right past that.
Yeah.
It's a very different world. I meet videographers and photographers, and I hire them, and I'm like, no, this is not what I can't post this. I'm editing professional photography to put it on my page because it's not social media content. It's beautiful on a website. It's beautiful on a magazine ad, but it's not for social media. So it's definitely, but that's a muscle that you train over time. The number one thing out of all this is you have to believe it's gonna work, right? Mm-hmm. It's faith. I was lucky enough, I didn't have anything else going in my life, so I was able to just do it because what the heck else was I gonna do? But I believed Gary Vee on some level, but now I've experienced it, and I try to help people see, like, it's not just because I'm not special in some way, but it's believing that it will work, believing that putting in the time will pay off. That's the piece that I find not everyone understands, because a lot of people were like me, where I was like, well, I don't use social media. How many times people tell me that? Well, I don't use Instagram. It's like, okay, but we're not talking about you. And then people said, well, you do high-end painting. Your clients aren't going to be there. Well, that's not true. I found them. I know an architect a very famous architect, who he built a $50 million house in Canada because a client reached out through Instagram, saw his stuff, sent him a DM, and he traveled to Canada from New England and built a $50 million house. Like, people with money are on social media.
They're on,
on social media. Young people, old people are on social media. Like,
so our brains are small. We can't comprehend that it's a scarcity mindset that people have. That it's just little kids are on Instagram. It's not at all.
We think that everyone is like us, right? That's the problem. The problem with being human. We think everyone else is like us. But there's just enough data now to show that, like, there's not a business that wouldn't do well on Instagram. Because your clients are there. Just not, sometimes people say that, it's like, well, yeah, maybe you're not the clients that you're serving right now, but I bet you if you look at who your ideal clients are, a lot of them are there, or maybe the assistants to those people are there, or the family members to those people are there. And if I've been following your page for a while, and I'm a big fan of the lawyer who always has this funny thing that he does or whatever it is, and I'm talking to my whatever family member, it's like, oh, no, I've been following this guy for a while. You got to look at this thing he does. Now I'm showing someone who maybe doesn't have social media this feed. So the network effect is so powerful from social media. I just think that people who aren't on it have a hard time projecting out what it would be like.
Right.
I was one of those. That's
cool. So you've drank the Kool-Aid, and it tastes really good. Zach, thank you so much for coming up. I hate to use that phrase, but it's not. Totally. It's not Kool-Aid. It's gold. You've drank the gold, and
I'm still alive. So
and you're still alive. You're urinating gold. I don't know. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it. You've really helped me to step up my game. I'm embarrassed to look at my Instagram page. I mean, I don't have a lot of followers on there, but it's random stuff. There's no storyline, and there's no behind the scenes, and I am going to definitely step that up. But I appreciate that.
Awesome, man.
Listen, thank you for coming on, and anybody, he's going to give you a challenge here. So, Zach, DM him, seriously, direct message him.
ZK Painting. It's ZK Painting on Instagram. Send me a DM.
Yep, go to there. ZK Painting. You can easily find him. And right below his name, it says zkpainting.com. That's his website. He doesn't look at it, but it's Instagram all the way.
If you want to get a hold of me, go to Instagram.
Yeah. He may not get back to you on the website contact page.
It's definitely not the most effective. Sending an email or send a message on Facebook.
But seriously, someone out there might feel like, I don't know if this is for me. Do it. Just call him. He'll help you out. Zach,
if you
awesome.
think it is, I'd gladly do a quick call just to, I talk to people all the time about this stuff, and I have a number of people who have seen the light and had a lot of success. So I just love to see people do well, and if you want to talk about this stuff, I like to talk about it.
Nice, awesome. All right, well, take care. Thank you for coming on. All right, that was. Let me see. What lens am I? I got a different camera. That was great. He was man, stepping up the game, the Instagram game. If you own a business or starting a business, yeah, treat Instagram like your website. You can do it behind the scenes. You can't show people who you are more than in the social media, specifically Instagram. Websites are great, but it's just content that people can look at. But there's something about behind the scenes, shown before and after. So thank you so much for paying attention and staying on. I know I lost the feed a couple times, had some issues. It happens. The weather is kind of freaky. Go ahead and like my page, though. Follow me. I really, really appreciate it. I got like 499 followers on the page. I'm looking for the 500th. The 500th. The 500th. Actually, it would be the 500th. Maybe you could be the 500th person. It takes 500s to get to the 500. But I'm looking for the 500th follower. Wow, that's a lot of F's. Dropping F-bombs tonight. Hey, I usually have a closing joke. And tonight I do. Let me do get my little thing here, because I like to have a little humor, little comedy here. Again, tune in tomorrow night. Great singer-songwriter from San Francisco. He's the man. You're going to love his music. Jangly, shoegaze, indie pop. Really, really cool. Mr. Ethan will be here. But what did the drummer call his twin daughters? Because drummers can have kids. A drummer had twin daughters. What did he name them? Anna 1, Anna 2? Anna 1, Anna 2. See you all tomorrow night.